So this is a story my dad told me that happened to him when he was 17, and honestly, it still creeps me out. He grew up in Platekill, New York, and their house was this old two-story place that my grandpa built way out in the woods. Like no neighbors for miles, just trees everywhere. If you've ever been upstate, you know how isolated it can get. Anyway, one night, everyone else went to the city and left my dad home alone. It was just him, a 22 shotgun, and their German Shepherd Prince, who was police trained and supposedly fearless. The land the house was on was already known for weird stuff. People would say that there was paranormal activity and even some Native American remains somewhere on the property. So one night, there's a crazy thunderstorm. Upstate New York storms are no joke. Like the whole house was shaking and the woods get pitch black. My dad was just chilling, probably reading or listening to the radio, when out of nowhere, someone starts banging on the front door. It wasn't just knocking, but it was more of a pounding, like they were desperate or pissed off. Here's the thing, there's literally nobody around for miles, and the driveway is long and muddy. No way someone just wandered up there, especially in a storm. As soon as the banging started, Prince, the big tough police dog, freaks out and bolts up the stairs, actually peeing himself on the way up. My dad grabs the shotgun and follows him, and they end up barricaded in a bedroom on the second floor, with Prince hiding under the bed, shaking. My dad sitting there, thinking it could be a bear. But what bear knocks like that? And what if it could somehow get upstairs and break through the French doors? The pounding keeps going, mixed with thunder and wind, and my dad's just sitting there in the dark, shotgun ready and heart pounding. Eventually, the banging just stops. The storm dies down. There's just this creepy silence. In the morning, my dad goes downstairs and checks the door. Nothing's broken, but there's these muddy prints on the porch. He said they were too big and weird to be human, but not really animals either. To this day, he has no idea what was out there, but he swears he's never seen Prince so scared, before or since. So me and my best friend at the time were having a sleepover at her house one night. We were about 14 at the time, and we had frequent sleepovers. We were pretty bored, and we thought it was a good idea to walk to Dollar General to get some snacks for the night. It was about 9 p.m. There was a shortcut behind her house, through a church parking lot, and through a little pathway to the Dollar General. So we make our way to Dollar General, and we get all the snacks that we want. We take the same way we came back. Mind you, it's super dark outside, so as soon as we go through the pathway, my friend turns on her phone flashlight. It's a very short pathway, not too long until we are back to the church parking lot. So we are walking, and we go to take a right, and boom, we run straight into an older Hispanic man with a 1,000-yard stare on his face. My friend screams, but she quickly apologizes to the man. He just stood there and didn't say anything, nor did he move. He doesn't change his facial expression, and he doesn't speak. He just keeps standing there in the darkness with nothing. So we keep walking through the church parking lot, and my friend kind of blows it off. But I keep my eyes on the area where we saw him, and I'm walking backwards, and she's walking forwards. We are talking and walking, and I still cannot brush it off. And then, as we are walking about halfway through the parking lot, I see about 6 men come out of the darkness, and they're bolting at us at full speed. Luckily, we are a good bit ahead, and I scream at her and tell her that we need to run. They're coming. I don't know why we just didn't run the rest of the way to our house, but we decided to hide behind an air conditioning unit behind the church. Not long after we hear them run past, and they're all yelling in Spanish, so we couldn't understand what they were saying. Shortly after they pass, we built up the courage to run the rest of the way back to our house. And as we make it to our house, there's a fence right behind our house, and we see them running behind the fence. They never saw us or where we went, but it still scares me to this day to think about when we ran into that man. Were they just hiding in the shadows behind the bushes waiting for us? What if they didn't give us a head start and just attacked us then? What if they found us and caught up to us before we got away? So many things could have happened. Till this day, it still gives me the chills to think about what their intentions truly were. So my friend Jess once drove back home from her parents' house through southern Germany. Least to say, it was late at night and a relatively quiet ride, until the road ahead was suddenly blocked by what she described as a large log. She was super annoyed by this, because this was literally the only road she could have taken without having to drive another hour if she decided to drive back. When she got out of the car to further inspect the roadblock, she didn't notice anything out of the ordinary and began moving the log out of the way. I don't know how long it took her, but by the time she was finished, another car had stopped not far behind her, waiting for her to continue driving. At least, that's what she thought. As soon as she got back into her driver's seat and continued her drive, she noticed that the car was following her. She panicked and called the police, informing them about the situation and that she's driving home so that they can intercept the stranger as soon as she arrives at her house. Since she was relatively close to her house already, she knew it'd take the police probably a few more minutes till they got there as well, so she decided to park a few houses away to not appear suspicious. She continued to sit in the driver's seat to see if the car was still around, and indeed, the stranger even parked directly behind her. At this point, she had the pepper spray ready, the doors locked from the inside, and was obviously super anxious when a man got out of the car and walked up to her window, waving at first and gesturing towards the back of her car. Confused by this, she decided to roll down the window a tiny bit to ask what's up with this guy. The man explained he had only been following her to tell her that while she was at that roadblock, a stranger had snuck into her trunk and was probably still there. Jess was absolutely bewildered, yet terrified by this. She couldn't believe the guy outside her window at first, but he then showed her that he's called the police prior to their conversation on his phone, so she trusted him enough to get out of the car. Soon after, the police arrived, opened her trunk, and arrested the guy that had been hiding in there. Turns out, her initial stalker was telling the truth and was really trying to help her out. I don't really have the details on who the guy is, but I've been told he was definitely having ill intentions, probably break into her house, or even worse.